Now let's take a look at the features you have when you're making a phone call. First, you have a keypad. In situations where you need to go through and press a button to get to a spot in a menu. For example, you're calling another business and you may have to dial 0 to get to the operator. You can pull up the keypad and press 0. And there you are. You also have over here people, so you can see who is on the phone call with you. Right now, it's just me and one external number. And I have the options to go through and a few things here. I want to point out under the More category, record and transcribe. That only works for external phone calls, recording a phone call when you have multiple people. It's like recording a meeting. You cannot record an individual call. Under language and speech, you have the option to turn on live captions. I'm muted in order for you to hear me without having any background noise. So you're not going to really see anything right now. But after you go through and identify the language, you can go through. It will start actually typing down here what's being said during the course of the conversation. This is quite helpful to make sure you don't miss something. If you have someone perhaps with an accent, so you can make sure that you're understanding what's being said. It's not flawless, but it is a great help, I found, during my conversations. Under settings, you get to device settings where you can change your microphone and speakers if you need to. You have the option of putting the person on hold. As that person's on hold, they are hearing hold music, which I'm not going to play here. And you can resume the call. We also have under there the option to transfer. Now, there are two different versions of transfer. There is a transfer, which they just call that, which is kind of a cold transfer, meaning you transfer and it will come up with who you want to transfer this person to. And you can go through and enter in the person's name or phone number if externally and transfer. Please note you have the option to have them come back to you if nobody answers. The other transfer is a warm transfer, the consult then transfer. This would allow you to give the other person a heads up that you're transferring a call to them. It works in any situation that you feel like you need to give background information to someone before they get a call. All right, now let's go through and add a phone call to this so we can take a look at a conference call and see what's happening. I am currently muted due to the recording.
Unknown participant is now joining.
So now I have more than one person on the call. Let's take a look and see how the features change and what's showing up. In the case of this example, both numbers are external numbers. However, the options remain very similar if you are dealing with internal numbers. You have the option to chat. This only works if the people in question are using Microsoft Teams. It does not work for text messages. I still have my people. I have the ability to raise my hand if I want to make sure that I am being seen in a certain situation. Maybe someone says something that I want to react to while they're talking. Let's try the laugh. And you'll notice that right below my face is a laugh. There you go. This, again, really only shows up if the other people are using Microsoft Teams. Good for internal. You have the ability to change the view. You can actually go through and put a together mode. So this works really well if the camera is on. You can hang out here in the auditorium. And all the people can be right around me in the different seats. It's pretty cool. I have the option of using collaborative apps, which there's some really neat things in there. Take a look. There might be something that works for you. Under the More, I now have the ability that I can record the conversation. I have video effects, which would give the background to me if I'm showing my video. Again, that only works with Microsoft Teams. I have the ability to turn on or off the live captions. And again, I have the device settings that I've talked about before. So let's go through and look at some options next to the callers. So if I select the ellipse, I have the ability to mute a participant. I'm going to try and play for you what it says when you mute a participant to them so they are aware and know how to unmute themselves.
You've been muted. To unmute yourself, press *6.
So in that situation, they cannot unmute themselves until they press *6. I cannot unmute them. They can only unmute themselves.
You are no longer muted.
And I did that by pressing *6. Let's say perhaps I have someone that I need to disable so they cannot be talking, unmuting themselves. Perhaps for some reason I need to do that. I can click disable mic, and in that case it'll tell the person,
You are not allowed to unmute. To raise your hand, press *5.
so if they press *5, they can raise their hand,
Hand raised.
and it'll tell them that their hands are raised, but they cannot unmute. To allow, you go through and click allow mic, and it'll say,
Hand lowered. You are allowed to unmute. To unmute yourself, press *6.
all right, and I press *6, and I'm unmuted.
You are no longer muted.
You also have the option to pin if perhaps it's a video call and you want to keep an eye on somebody. You have the option of spotlighting. So if I want to spotlight a user, it will highlight them on the center of the call. Again, this really only works for video, but you do have it as an option. And I have the option of removing someone from the meeting.
Unknown participant is now exiting.
At the end of a meeting, it's important to go through and sign out. So I have an option. I can either, especially when I have more than one caller in a meeting, if I leave the meeting, they will still be connected. If I want to end the meeting for all, I need to click end meeting. And end. And there, create a conference call. You can do this through Outlook by creating a meeting. It tends to default to Teams meetings, and that's fine. This works great if you're trying to work with someone else across the VCCS or another institution that has Teams. Since most of you are familiar with Outlook, I'm going to focus on Teams. I can either click the spot on my calendar that I want to add the meeting, or I can go up to New Meeting. New Meeting shows up with a pop-up, and I can enter in all the meeting information, and it will be sent just like I would with Outlook. And it'll be automatically set up as a Teams call. I also have the option at the top to meet now, and I have the option to join with an ID. Let's just make a test meeting real quick. So we can go through and see what it looks like. All right, once I'm in my meeting, I can go through and set my meeting options, which are up here at the top. It may be hiding behind an ellipse. Unfortunately, on the date of recording, there is a minor issue, and I cannot access the screen that I need to show. However, it looks something like this. If you're setting up a conference call, you can go through and assign who can bypass the lobby. You can set it whether you want callers to be announced when they join or leave. You can choose the meeting co-organizers and who can present. You can also manage your attendees, allow the mics and the camera, record automatically, etc., etc. I recommend checking out the meeting options if you're going to be using this feature. It would be quite helpful to you to make sure the options you want selected are, and the ones that you do not want selected are not.